Hello everyone, and welcome to another video where I go through some of Allan Holdsworth's songs. And if you watch my other video, you'll know that today we're going to do Tullio, which is a monster of a song. It's the head itself it's 139 measures long before it actually repeats again, with 108 chords in it, which is quite a lot, and has about 31 unique voicings in it. If you count the intro's got 4 chords, in the outro we got 113 chords. Now, when I first heard about this song, it was kind of like my white whale. I want to be able to figure it out because there's no transcriptions of it online. And I've read interviews with Allan talking about the song, saying it was so difficult for them that they just couldn't play it live. So the only recording that's available, at least for us fans, is the actual studio recording. They had rehearsed it in Japan, but they never ended up going through it. So it's pretty daunting trying to improvise this whole thing. And when I read interviews of Allan talking about the song, he says, well, it doesn't repeat. It goes sort of where you don't think it's going to go. And he was half telling the truth. It seems like there's a lot of chords, and there are. But there's plenty of parts in the song where certain sections sort of repeated again. So especially they think the very end of the song is almost exactly like the beginning, just sort of cuts off at one point. So we'll tackle that today. A couple of other things I wanted to say. First of all, I really appreciate all the support and all the likes and views that you guys have given me. It makes me feel pretty good that that I'm doing this. It makes me feel like I sort of know what I'm talking about. So I really appreciate that from everybody. And I also want to thank 2 people for this. So I transcribed the song myself, but you kind of get ear fatigued, so I needed the help of a friend of mine on the forum, Joe Britton. And he is one of the few people that I completely trust with his transcriptions. He's got an incredible ear. His transcriptions are always spot on. The fingering's correct, everything. So I had sent him my version of the song, and he corrected a few things in there. Not a ton, but a couple of little things here and there. And sure enough, they sounded pretty good, so I trusted him with it. And then eventually, the other person I want to thank is Steve Hunt, the keyboard player who actually played on this song. I kind of pestered him a little bit, and he sent me his lead sheet. It's all slash chords, and there's no real like specific voicings that are in there, but it gave me confidence to know that when I looked at those chords, I was pretty much right for most of it. There's only a couple of things that were on his transcription that I was like, oh, okay, that's probably how it goes. So it's really hard to hear the tone of the actual guitar because of the actual effect that Allan used. When you listen to like any of his stuff off 16 Men of Tane, it's very easy to hear what the guitar is doing because it's so present in the mix. This album on Hardhead Area, his tone is great, but it's not very obvious to what's going on, especially with the keyboards blending on top of it. So I had a really difficult time trying to get those chords as 100% as I could. So there's going to be a couple places in this song where I'll say, I'm not 100% sure, I'm like 95% sure that this is the exact voicing that is going on with that song, just because you just can't really hear it that well. So I want to thank Steve for lending me his transcription. I'm not going to share that because that's private, I suppose, unless he wants me to release it. And I want to thank Joe. Otherwise, I'd still be second guessing this and trying to figure out what's going on in the song. Yeah. Also, if you hear anything else different than what I have, you know, my ear's not great. I sort of use a lot of tools to try to figure things out. Feel free to let me know, and I can go and take a second look at it. But I'll only be unsure about the ones that I'm going to mention, and one of them is actually going to come in this video. And this video is the most important out of all the videos I'm going to do for the playthrough ones, because this is the part of the song that gets repeated the most in there. So yeah, pay attention to this one. It'll be maybe the first 2. I'm sort of playing this by ear, how I want to break them up So we'll go through that right now. So I'll catch you on the flip side. Alright, so let's get started. Now the first 5 chords of the song are really just the intro. Everything after that is just the head. As I said, it's we've got a ton of chords in there. So after this part of the song, it never comes back again. Alright, so here's the first chord. This is an F major with a B flat in the bass. You can also think of this as a B flat major 7 sus2, as I do, or you can even think of it as an F major with add 11, with the add 11 being on the bottom. Now the only reason why that makes a little bit more sense is because the next chord is E flat minor with an A in the bass. To me, I would call that a E flat minor add sharp 11, which is kind of from harmonic minor, the Dorian sharp 4 mode. Then move down to the first chord again, but now you're a minor third down. So to me, this could be a D major with a G in the bass, D major at 11, or G major 7 sus2, and then the same chord as before, C minor with a G flat in the bass, C sharp minor at, C minor with a sharp 11 in the bass. Then you move your first finger down to F sharp, play the E flat on the B string, and then this chord, which is to me like a first inversion E minor at 11. You got your G, E, and B, and E minor right there, and A. So that's E minor at 11 in first inversion. You can also think of this as like an A sus2 with a G in the bass, or even like a E sus4 with the G in the bass. But to me, I think of this as a E minor at 11. Alright, so now from this part on is the actual head of the song. The first chord here is, I think of it as 2 different ways. When I first saw this chord, it was from Frank Gambale's, one of his theory books, his technique books, where he talked about this chord as a minor 7 sharp 5, which made sense to me. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Never really thought of it like this. And then when I talked to the other member of my band, Greg, about this chord, he goes, well, that doesn't sound like a sharp 5. It sounds like a major add 9, and it is. You can also think of this as a first inversion major add 9. Now for me, I like to relate to the chords what makes sometimes the most sense visually, and to me, I like seeing this as a minor 7 sharp 5. But really, by the way that it sounds, it's a F sharp major add 9. The next chord of the song is a really nice, interesting D major 7 voicing. Allan uses this chord quite a lot. Here's a D major, you got a D, you got your 1, major 3rd, and your 5 on the bottom, and then you've got your major 7, your C sharp here. And then back to this chord like in Pud 1, B flat major 7 sus2, or F major with a B flat in the bass, F minor 7 sharp 5, or excuse me, D flat major add 9, first inversion, and then an A7 in 3rd inversion, or A major with a G in the bass. And this whole song basically is in 3/4 time except for this chord and when it repeats again later in the song. This chord gets held out for 5 beats. Then the next chord after that is, now this is kind of a strange chord. I like to think of this chord as a B flat minor add 9 with the flat 13. What probably makes more sense sonically is, because it's really not that dissonant sounding, is you can think of this as a first inversion F sharp major triad with an added sharp 11. Makes no difference however you think it makes sense. To me, I like to see B minor add 9 flat 13 because that makes me think of B flat Aeolian. And for me, it's just easier to improvise over. And then the next chord is, which is a 3rd inversion D flat major 7 chord. So you got D flat major here, and then you've got the major 7 on the bottom. So it's a D flat major chord with the C in the bass. And then this strange chord, it's really, I've never seen Allan play this specific voicing, so I wasn't totally sure if this was the chord or not, but clearly you can, when I analyzed the chord, that's in there. You've got the minor second interval between this C and C sharp, and then F sharp. So this is like the chord before that that minor add 9 with the flat 13, but now Allan adds the A flat on the top, like that, and it's totally bleeding through. So if you want to think of it as that major with the add sharp 11, you can think of this as now you're adding an A flat. So this is like a F sharp, add 9, add sharp 11. To me, I think of this once again as that a B flat, but now like a B flat minor 9 with the flat 13 in there. Then this chord, which is E major 13 to me. You can also think of this chord, rather interestingly, as a C sharp minor add 9 in first inversion, which is I thought it was pretty cool. Or you can think of this as a flat major 7, A flat sus4 with an E in the bass. And then the next chord is, you've got to me, I think of this as an A 6/9. So I got my root, my major 3rd, my 6, and my 9. It might be easier to think of this as a F sharp sus4 with an A in the bass. And then from there, it goes back to that first chord. That's why I said this this video is pretty important in terms of learning the song, because a lot of the same things are repeated over again or shifted over, transposed a whole step. So then it goes to that same chord again, now a whole step up. So this is a C minor 7 sharp 5, or A flat major add 9. E major 7, then an A major 7 sus2, or there's E major with an A in the bass, and then finally this chord. I think of this chord as the root being the G, so this is a G minor major 7 sharp 11, or an F sharp major with a G in the bass. Now, I wasn't totally sure if this is actually the voicing or not, because the G is definitely there and it's being played by the bass, but I can't tell if this note is actually being voiced inside the guitar chord, because it can also be this, D major 7 sharp 5. This chord also appears later in the song and actually the next part, which would be the next video, but it's really hard to tell. But if you're playing along to it, you really want to hear that G in there, and when I hear this G in the bass, it makes me think of F sharp Phrygian dominant, which is actually what Allan plays over technically, actually Lydian sharp 9, but yeah, for me, still not sure, but I'm about 95% sure. So we'll stop there, because it's a lot of information and a lot of chords. If you feel any of the chords are a little bit different than what you might hear, let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty certain on all of them, including that last one. So that's it for now. I'll put out part 2 maybe the next, I don't know, maybe the next week and a half or so, depending how much time I have. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you later.